I had the amazing opportunity to collaborate with STABILO to create a wedding suite for their Happy Mail campaign. They sent me their brand new Pen 68 metallic pen series so that I could use it on a wedding suite using not just black, but also gray and white paper elements. These pens showed up lovely on every single one of these. Today, let's look at how you can create some Happy Mail of your own using the new STABILO Pen 68 metallic set, some black paper, and a beautiful negative space ribbon banner. First, you want to cut your paper to size. It's always helpful, of course, to sketch out what you want to put on there before you start writing. We're going to look together at the banner up at the top. Normally, you write your letters so that you're coloring the letter itself in. You would draw your banner, and then you would write your word. It's a little bit different when you're writing with a color on black paper, because instead of writing the word, you're actually going to fill in the negative space around it. This can be a little bit hard, but we're going to go through a few guidelines that you can follow to make it easy and beautiful without a lot of headache. Linked down below, there's a reference sheet that you can get with a whole selection of ribbons and banners. Let's use one similar to this, which is similar to the one on the actual invitation, but you can use any of them and put your lettering inside. We'll be drawing this one out onto our black paper. Use this as a reference and draw that similar ribbon right up towards the top of your page. We're going to start coloring out our ribbon. Choose one of the colors, any one of your choice, and you're going to outline the frontmost ribbon. For us, we're going to call that this one right here. Outline it right to the edge. And this is one of the few ribbons that you are going to outline all the way to the edge. We need to keep a little bit of black in between each of our ribbons to give them definition and make them still appear separate from one another. Now that this is outlined in the front, you're going to go to the next ribbon tucked right behind. Keeping a little gap of black in between the two, draw a line just outside of your original ribbon. Once the two no longer overlap, you can go in and use the outer edge of your ribbon for tracing. Because we're not going to be putting any letters onto this area, you can color the entire ribbon section in. You'll see that you've created a nice black line separation between this rear ribbon area and the area more in the front. Next, we'll move over to this ribbon here. This one is also in the front, but we still need to ensure that we maintain a separation between it and our original ribbon area. Trace along the edge until you've closed it off. Because this one is going to have letters in it, we're going to leave it empty for now. Next, move to the ribbon in behind. Now this one has two areas. It has the fold over and then the continuation of the ribbon. Let's go step by step. First, we did the front. Next, let's do the fold over, keeping a space between that and the ribbon in front. And then you need to go all the way to the edge so that you're getting that black line all the way from one edge to the next and coloring in following your original line. Because this one isn't going to have words, we can also color it in. Finally, we're on the last area of the ribbon, and for this we need to leave a black line, little bit of space all the way around any areas we've previously colored in or previously outlined. Again, no letters in here means that we can color it in right away. Now we have the outer shape of our ribbon, but we're missing a little bit in the center here, and that's where the ribbon folds over. In here, you're going to color it in like one of these back folds, where there's a little bit of black on either side and then colored in the center. This can be a little bit tricky, so take your time and get it very precise. Now we have a black outline to make each of these areas stand out. We're going to add the lettering inside. Here we did celebrate the wedding of, but let's do something else so that we have quite a few different examples. Let's write something simple like "You're invited." Because "You're invited" doesn't have the same number of letters on either side of the banner, You would have wanted to either make this part of the banner smaller, or we can always take your and change it to you are. On a piece of scrap paper, I always like to write out the words to be able to visualize how much space each letter will take up. What I mean by that is that some letters, like I, don't take up very much space. Other letters like M or W take up more space than most of the other letters in the alphabet. And make sure you also leave a space in between, because that is a space in itself. Our next ribbon has invited, and you'll see that this has 2 instances of I. Now, when we go to lay this out in here, we're going to be creating boxes for each of our letters to fit into. That means that in our top ribbon, we are going to have 6 boxes for letters, which are all around the same, a box for a space, and then in the second ribbon, we're going to have a small box for an I, 5 boxes of regular size, and a second small box for the I. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total, and this one has 6. Now, it's also helpful to pay attention to what is in the center. With 7, you'll know that this is directly in the center of your written area. Whereas here, it's a little bit harder to figure out where the middle is. If you work with fractions, you can always do it as these being 0.5 and these being 1s, and then add them up to see where you fall right in the middle. 3 over here, 1, 2, 3 over here. Our middle point is right in between the I and the T. Keep your draft to the side so that you can refer back to it, and let's start to box out our letters. You don't want your letter to go all the way to the very top or bottom of the ribbon. So what you want to do is draw a second line with your same pen all the way around, trying to keep it a similar distance from that outer edge. Also add that extra onto the right and left side of the ribbon. You don't want your words going all the way to the very edge, and putting that extra border in there is a good way to avoid that. I just didn't want to have the squeaking in the background. Let's start off with the word invited. If you're not comfortable writing your division lines in pen right away, you can first start off with a pencil to ensure that you have them placed exactly where you want them. Because we're starting off with a line directly in the center of our space, eyeball out the center and put in that initial dividing line. Now you want to simply draw in spaces for each letter on each side. We do want these to be relatively square shaped. So that just means we're going to fill in a little bit more on either side after we draw in our boxes. Let's draw in 3 squares. Once you've drawn your pencil marks and you like where they are, take your gold pen, or whatever color you've chosen to use, and trace those lines in. It's within these boxes that we'll be placing each of our letters. Any unused area at the side, color that out as well. Let's do the same for the other part of the ribbon. We have a space right in the center, and then 3 boxes on either side. That space should be at least as wide as an I. Find the center, and instead of that being a line, let's make that the center of our middle space. And then, keeping the boxes relatively the same size as the ones down below, draw in 3 boxes on either side of that original space. Next, use your gold pen to trace those lines, to create your boxes, and color in any area that is unused. Now it's time for us to add in our letters. And I'm going to tell you here that less is more. As you're creating the letter, you're not going to actually be drawing it in. You're going to be drawing in the negative space around the letter. Go very gently with your pen. Do tiny little marks because you can always add more to take away some more of the black space, but you can't take away the pen. Keep your reference sheet close. For letters like Y, which are symmetrical, you will want to create an angle coming in from the top and a line going down from the bottom. In the top, create a tiny little triangle area. If you want it to come down, simply add a little dot. and you've just brought it down further. But that's as little as it takes, just a tiny dot. For any of your circular letters, C, P and R even, O, you want to first curve in the corners. Don't go all the way to the center, just take a little bit off each of the corners to give it a nice curved shape. Next, fill in that center bit. We're just going to draw a line right down the middle. And remember, you can always add more, but you can't take away. For our U, it's the same sort of idea. Curve out the bottom, keep the top the same, and then draw a line straight down from the top, about to the same place you went down to in your O. Next, we're going on to R, like A-R-E. This has some more difficult letters. With A, I highly suggest just cutting a little bit off of each side of your A. Next, draw in a tiny little box at the bottom and a tiny triangle inside by just touching your pen to the page. For R, this is one of the trickier letters that you're going to do. You want to curve out the top corner and then right in the middle, curve it back in just a little bit. Here, you're going to connect that curve right to the corner to create that outer shape of your R. Let's fill in the interior details. So we have that little bottom cutout and a section in the top of the R here for that space. And you really want to pay attention to the black space that you have, not just the gold that you're adding, to make sure that the thickness of the black is similar in all of your letters. E would seem simple, but I find it really tricky because you have to fit 2 lines within this space without squishing any parts of the E. If you want, you can do it in pencil first. Once you have those in, using just the very tip of your pen, draw a very thin line right on top of your sketch lines. Another thing I like to do is take a little bit off that middle leg of the E. We're halfway through. We already have our I done, and N, you're going to do a small triangle on the bottom and a small triangle on the top. The bottom triangle is going to be more to the left, and the top triangle is going to be more to the right. How you did your A and your Y, but it's the other way around. Trimming just a little bit off of each side and then adding a triangle to the top. Now for T, you simply need to draw a little box on either side. You want to lift up the arms of the T so that the black area up top here is the same height as the width of the base. We have another E, which you know how to do already. Maybe this one you want to try to freehand without drawing in your pencil lines. Last but not least, we're at the D. Curve out both of the corners on the right and then fill in the center with your straight line down the back and a touch of a curve in the front. Next up, it's time to add other details to the invitation, like what it's for, date, and where it's going to be held. You can also add embellishments to fully finish off your design. Thanks to Stabilo for providing me with these amazing pens so that I could bring you this tutorial today. I hope that you now are ready to send a little bit of happy mail out to brighten someone's day today.